It was a gray, rainy autumn morning, the kind where the cold seeps into your bones no matter how thick your coat is. I had just turned 60, and every day on my walk to work felt heavier than the last. My wife had passed away 3 years ago from an incurable illness, leaving me alone in the house we had built together. Those morning walks had become a kind of ritual, a way to face the world despite the emptiness I carried. That day, as I trudged along the slick streets, my boots splashing in shallow puddles, something small and pitiful caught my eye. In the middle of the street, shivering and drenched by the relentless rain, was a tiny German Shepherd puppy. His ribs pressed sharply against his soaked fur, and his large, dark eyes were wide with fear. He whimpered softly, but the sound cut through the patter of rain and the hum of distant traffic like a plea that could not be ignored. I froze. My heart ached in a way I hadn't felt in years. I had been alone for so long, accustomed to silence, that this little creature's vulnerability shook me to the core. Without thinking, I bent down, my coat already soaked, and scooped him up into my arms. His body was fragile, trembling violently, but somehow he seemed to know that I was there to help. "Hey there, little guy," I whispered, my voice catching. "You're safe now." I carried the puppy as quickly as I could to the nearest veterinary clinic. Every step felt like a test of patience. The tiny creature in my arms was so weak that I feared he might not make it. When we arrived, the vet's assistant rushed us inside, and the sight of his small body trembling on the examination table made my chest tighten with worry. "His immune system is dangerously low," the vet said gravely. "He's malnourished and exposed to infections. He'll need intensive care for at least a week." A week. 7 days of uncertainty. 7 days of waiting while this tiny life teetered on the edge. I couldn't stay with him in the clinic. The policy didn't allow visitors in intensive care. All I could do was leave my name, pay for the treatment, and walk back into the rain, feeling hollow and helpless. I kept thinking of my wife during that walk home. She had loved animals, especially dogs, and had always said they could teach you about loyalty and love in ways humans sometimes couldn't. I felt as if, in saving this puppy, I was honoring her memory. After 7 days that felt like a year, I received a call from the clinic. "He's responding well," the vet said. "He's stronger now, eating on his own, and alert. You can take him home." I remember the relief that washed over me. I hurried to the clinic, heart pounding, and when I saw him, his coat now slightly fluffier, his eyes bright and alive, I almost cried. He wagged his tiny tail as if he remembered me from before, recognizing me as his protector. From that day forward, he became my companion. I named him Max. He was not just a dog, he was a presence that filled the void in my house, the warmth in the cold, the joy in the quiet. For the first time since my wife passed, I laughed again. Max and I developed a bond that transcended words. We became each other's family. Over the next year, Max grew up into a strong and noble German Shepherd. He was intelligent, loyal, and sensitive in ways that often amazed me. We shared our routines, morning walks, quiet evenings by the fire, and long afternoons on the porch watching the rain fall. Max became attuned to me, sensing my moods, my silence, my loneliness, and my joy. One night, a year after I had brought him home, we were lying near the fireplace, Max curled at my feet. The house was quiet, except for the occasional crackle of the fire. I had drifted into sleep, my mind filled with memories of my wife and the year that had passed with Max by my side. Then, something woke me. A faint smell at first, barely noticeable, but growing stronger by the second. Smoke. My eyes shot open. Max was already alert, standing, ears pricked, growling softly at the corner of the room where the flames had started to catch. The fire had started in the living room, perhaps from a spark that had flown too close to a rug. Panic surged through me, but Max did not hesitate. He barked and nudged me with his nose, urgency in every motion. It was as if he knew we had only seconds. I grabbed my coat, my heart hammering, and followed him. Max ran ahead to the front door, pawing and scratching, urging me to move faster. By the time I reached the door, the smoke was thickening and flames had begun to lick the walls. My lungs burned, my eyes stung, but Max's steadfast presence kept me moving. Once outside, I could hear neighbors shouting, and soon fire trucks arrived, alerted by those who had seen the smoke. Max stayed close to me, shaking but unafraid, as though he understood we had survived because of each other. Watching the firefighters battle the blaze, I realized something profound. The same life I had saved a year ago had now saved mine. I knelt beside Max, hugging him tightly. "You saved me," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "You saved me, just like I saved you." He licked my cheek, tail wagging, eyes bright and alive. That night, under the autumn rain and the flashing lights of the fire trucks, I understood the true meaning of companionship. The life I had given him had returned to me tenfold. Over the years, Max and I have shared countless quiet moments, long walks and warm evenings by the fire, but that night remains etched in my memory as the ultimate proof that kindness comes back in ways you could never predict. I had found Max alone, abandoned and near death on a rainy street. I had chosen to act, to bring him to safety, to care for him, and to give him a second chance at life. A year later, it was he who returned the favor, guiding me out of a fire that could have ended everything. Life is a fragile, fleeting thing, and every action we take matters more than we realize. Sometimes, the smallest gesture, a hand reaching down to rescue a helpless creature, can echo through time, bringing love, protection, and salvation in ways you never imagined. I think often of my late wife during these reflections. She always believed that good deeds create ripples, that the kindness you put into the world will somehow find its way back to you. That night, I felt her truth more clearly than ever. Max was not just a dog. He was a living testament to the circle of kindness, the bond between life saved and life returned. If there's one lesson I want anyone reading this to remember, it is this: never underestimate the power of a good deed. The kindness you show, whether to a human or an animal, does not vanish. It returns to you sometimes in unexpected ways, often when you need it most. Max taught me that love is a circle. I gave him life, warmth, and hope. He returned it with loyalty, courage, and salvation. Every act of care, every moment of empathy, every decision to help someone weaker than you has the potential to change not only their life, but your own. That's the miracle of compassion. That's the lesson Max and I live every day.